In this second part, I'm going to explain you how you can record and monitor your Ambisonics signal in your DAW. If you haven't watched the first part on how you can connect your Ambisonics microphone to your input device, just make sure to follow the first part in the link in the description below. So I have created an empty Dolby Atmos session. You can use any type of session in Pro Tools. It can be a stereo session, a surround 5.1 session, or a Dolby Atmos session. I have my 714 setup, so I'm just gonna make it a Dolby Atmos from the very beginning. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create an input for my microphone. And for doing that, I'm just gonna go to the setup menu of Pro Tools, and in the I/O setup, I'm gonna create a new input. And by clicking on new path, I will create a first order Ambisonics input. And then I'm gonna assign the channels 0, 1, 2, and 3 to where my microphone is connected in the channels 1, 2, 3, and 4. In my case, it will be this way. Remember that this has to respect the order. Once my input has been created, I am going to create a new channel. And in this case, I'm going to create a first order Ambisonics channel. And I'm gonna route this channel to my bed. So in my case, I'm gonna route it to my 712 bed. And as you can see, Pro Tools has already assigned the input to be the microphone I created. But if it didn't, you can just do it by just going to the input setup and by selecting the input that you just created. And if we arm this track, you can see that audio is now coming to Pro Tools. Because Ambisonics microphones record in what we call A format, and for working in the DAW we need B format, we're gonna have to insert a transcoder in the very first insert of our track. Every single manufacturer should have provided you a plugin to transcode the signal from A format to B format. In the case of the Soyuz microphone, for example, we're gonna use the 013 transcoder, and that's what we're going to insert in the very first insert of our track. As you can see, the transcoder has controls on how the microphone was positioned when you were recording. And in this case, the microphone is upright looking at me, so I'm just gonna leave it in the first setting. And you can see also that there is a monitor and a quality setting. The monitor setting is a 0 latency setting that is very useful when you are tracking on where you are doing a live audio and you don't want any latency on your microphone. And the quality algorithm is an algorithm that is going to give you the best quality possible by introducing a little bit of latency. So what we always recommend is whenever you are recording, set to monitor, and whenever you're mixing, set to quality. You can do this after having recorded. This is something that is not going to affect whatever signal you recorded. After transcoding the signal, we're gonna have to decode this signal. So we're gonna have to insert a decoder. I always insert the decoder in the last insert of my track. That is because between the transcoder and the decoder, I might want to add additional Ambisonics effects. So I leave my inserts empty so that they're available for my Ambisonics effect. So I'm gonna add a decoder at the end of my signal. And the decoder is going to have to adapt to your channel layout. In my case, because I'm sending this track to the bed, which is 712, I'm just gonna set the decoder to go to 712. If we were using 5.1, it will go to 5.1. If you were using stereo, just set it to stereo. And as you can see now, as I talk, you see that the signal is coming in as an Ambisonic signal and is coming out as a 712 signal. And it is the Dolby Atmos renderer that is changing the signal to binaural. So now if we listen to our signal, you can see that now my voice is in the center of the sound field and now is on the left and now is on the right. So the Ambisonics microphone is correctly keeping the three-dimensional sound field. And now between the transcoder and the decoder, I have all these inserts available so that I can add any Ambisonics effect. So let's just try and do that. I'm just going to try and add, for example, Vortex, which is one of our reverbs. And just like that, I have added a three-dimensional reverb that is going to adapt to your channel layout. So if we were to listen to this, how it sounds, you can hear that now my voice has a reverb, which I can control just with the normal controls. And at the same time, it's keeping the three-dimensional properties. And this is the cool thing about Ambisonics. It doesn't matter if you're using stereo, 5.1, 714, whatever, it's always going to adapt to your channel layout. Now let's increase the resolution of this signal. I'm going to remove the decoder and Vortex. And as the signal is entering Pro Tools and is being transcoded to B format, the next insert is going to be my upscaler. The upscaler is going to increase the three-dimensional resolution that this microphone provides, and it's always recommendable to upscale to as high quality as possible. So in case of Pro Tools Ultimate, you have up to 7th order Ambisonics, and if you have Pro Tools Studio, you have up to 3rd order Ambisonics. 3rd order Ambisonics is good enough for working in surround and Dolby Atmos, but if you have 7th order Ambisonics available, why not using it? So I'm going to use a 7th order Ambisonics upscaling algorithm. And again, I'm going to have to insert a decoder, but this time I'm going to have to insert a higher order Ambisonics decoder. So in my case, I'm going to insert our Audio Brewers decoder in higher order. Again, to adapt to my bed's width. And we can see that now we are receiving the 64 channels that the 7th order Ambisonics signal has. So if we were to try the quality again, we can hear that you have my voice in the center, you have my voice on the left, and you have my voice on the right. But if we were to blow up this signal to a 714 array or to a surround array, you will hear that the resolution of the position of the sound will be much, much more defined. So this is a cool thing. And again, after the upscaler, any plugin that I insert is going to work in 7th order Ambisonics. So let's just try that. I'm just going to add our pitch shifter in 7th order. And now what our signal is doing is entering the DAW, being transcoded to B format, being upscaled to 7th order Ambisonics, and then going through our pitch shifter and finally being decoded. So if we were to test this, let's just say that I want to lower the pitch of the sides. And now you can hear that everything sounds differently. Let me just do another alteration.
And this is a test. And this is a test. You can hear that everything sounds very, very weird. You can hear that everything sounds very, very weird.
Or we can also increase the pitch. Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
And everything is happening in 7th order Ambisonics, which means that not only will sound great in stereo or in binaural audio, but it's also going to sound great in Dolby Atmos or even in custom speaker arrays. If you have any further questions about the workflow in Pro Tools, do not hesitate to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to help you out. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.